Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Enigma. This is Seth Goldstein. I am here with my business bestie, Shannon McGill. You might know her as the one, the only co-host of the Digital Marketing Diet podcast. You might know her
Absolutely.
for her insanely long social media posts on social media, talk about life and entrepreneurship and all that good stuff. And she's also the mother of 3 teenagers. And
One
damn, she
20 and 2 teenagers.
all right, 20. Well, all right, fine. But yeah, she looks damn good. No, very good. Anyhow, so
You.
Shannon comes to us from just north of Columbus, Ohio, and she is a consummate entrepreneur. She's running Diane Business Consulting. She ran a fitness business back in the day. She's like the quintessential business entrepreneur person you ever meet. She's so high energy and so perky and amazing, and I adore Shannon. So let's bring Shannon
Hey,
on
Seth,
here.
I feel the same way about you. It's the reason we connected so
Oh,
well.
yeah, you're so much fun. I really enjoy you and all that. And so you also have a new potential adventure ahead of you.
Yeah.
So this is all great stuff. So I wanted to bring you on the show, Entrepreneurs Enigma, to talk to you about the puzzle, which is the enigma part of being an entrepreneur, and
Yeah.
how there's ups, downs, lefts, rights. A B starts if you play country. You remember that little
Right.
code, but it's so much. So let's tell everyone, who are you and what who is Shannon?
Well, so I grew up with an entrepreneur dad. Well, he was more of a small business owner, as far
Mhm,
as he owned a body shop, right? And
mhm,
there's definitely a difference between an entrepreneur and a small business owner, in a lot of ways. But his mind worked a lot like an entrepreneur. He was always trying to solve something, always trying to
mhm.
figure something out, right? And I learned that. I remember saying at one point, I will never own a small business because there's
Whoops.
so much
Yeah.
that goes into that, right? There's so much stress, there's so much trying to figure things out. At times there's not a lot of stability, right? Trying to do that. And he reminded me of that when I owned my fitness company. He was like, what happened to I will never own a small business, right? But the reality is, typically entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs at heart, and we are
Mhm.
miserable when we are working inside of a system that forces us, right, to do it one certain way. That's not the way our brains
Mhm.
work. And so I worked for an agency for Nationwide, and I worked with a bunch of small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I saw that over and over. But at the same time, I really, really struggled, not with the company. The company was awesome, but in that role of being confined um, by all these systems and organizations and
Mhm.
that kind of thing, because I needed to do that, right? And so
Mhm.
that's kind of my journey as far as um, where I am now, and owning Diam and doing the different podcasts and those kinds of things, is
Mhm.
getting to a point where I realized internally that I need to evaluate and move forward in a way that makes sense to me and that goes with gives me energy and gives me passion, and that is definitely an entrepreneur way. As far as for I am a mom of three kids. I have at least one child who is exactly like me. He thinks just like me.
Oh boy,
He
help us
right?
world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, lots of energy. He is very adventurous like me. But I have another one of my girls who thinks a lot more creatively about
Hmm.
things as well. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But on a personal note, I just love the adventure of life, the
Yeah,
good, the bad, and moving through that space in a way that I can make an impact, but also realize and discover more and more who I am. And you alluded to the social media posts. That's just my hobby, I guess. I write that stuff out there, and I get teased all the time about it being super long. But it's the journey
it's
that I'm
great. Yeah,
walking and wanting to link arms with other people who are walking a similar journey.
it's awesome, and I'm after you to put it all that on a blog eventually, where you own the content. Which
It's
you,
going to happen, yes. And honestly, we need to
yes,
do that soon, Seth. You need to help me with that.
yeah, I will help you get that done. But yes, definitely. So through all this journey, you needed to think about, family life. Balancing family and
Yeah.
balancing the business, which is still kind of family. How did you manage that?
Um, I think the thing about balance is people think about it being a constant every day. I need to balance all of this stuff. I realized that if I took a more high level view of it
Mm-hmm.
was more effective. And so what I mean by that is understanding that for 2 weeks straight, I may be working 80-hour weeks. I may not make my kids' soccer games.
Yeah.
I may be um, out of sight as far as my friends, or my house may not get cleaned, right? Like, it may be like that. But then planning a week or two where I was more focused on that stuff, or okay, I'm getting way out of balance here. I'm exhausted. What needs to happen, right? And so there's an ebb and flow to it as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to it just being this static
Absolutely.
balanced, right? And but it's also understanding that there are times that it hits us upside the head, whether that's exhaustion or realizing we haven't been in touch with our kids, or whatever that looks like. There's there's times when we are smacked upside the head that we are completely out of balance. How do we
Mm-hmm.
bring this back to center? And so, but being kind to ourselves and understanding it's not because when that happens, it's not because we don't love our children, or it's not
Yeah.
because we don't like a clean house or we're lazy. It's because our passion and focus has been on something else, and we've been working really, really hard for it. And so now it's time to step back and turn that passion and focus a little bit on something else.
That's awesome. One of your big things. Luckily your kids are all growing up. Sad but happy at the same time because they're growing up to be good adults and whatnot. You love to travel, and
Ew.
one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur is a lot of times you can work from wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Digital Marketing Dive, Shannon's come to us from all different locations. Most recently was Orlando during a rainstorm, which was interesting. But
Right.
that was not sunny Orlando, Florida. That was actually our season finale, Digital Marketing Dive. That you were coming from rainy Orlando. But where is the most exotic place you've ever worked from as a business owner, as an entrepreneur?
Oh, geez. I,
Or
as
not,
far
it doesn't
as
have to be exotic. It could be like
I was
interesting
gonna
or
say, as far
bizarre.
as exotic, I haven't done a lot of international travel at this point. I'm very much, once my youngest is out of the house, looking forward to doing a lot more of that. But I've had the opportunity to take weeks at a time at different locations. And
That's
so
awesome.
that has been super fun for me because I like to I like to travel and I also like to vacation. And in my mind, those are two totally different things. Traveling is exploring, getting to know the area, learning what's there, learning the people, that kind of thing. Vacationing is going and sitting on the beach, right? And
Yes.
that's awesome too. I enjoy that as well. But so I've had couple of opportunities to be in Portland, Oregon for 2 weeks
Wow.
at a time. I've been in Fort Myer, Florida for a couple of weeks at times, or I was in Orlando a couple of weeks. I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan for a month. At one point, I was
Wow.
in Traverse City, Michigan for 3 weeks, right? And so there's been a lot. I mean, the other day, or no, it's been a while. It's been a couple of months. I wrote a post on several locations that I've been in, and I was shocked at how much I've been able to explore and go
That's awesome.
and really just do that. So as far as it is very important to me, whatever I'm doing, that I can interweave that, right? And so working, a lot of times my day looks very similar. I get up, I work, I go through what needs to be done as far as work, and then head out to explore and sit at the bar at restaurants and carry on conversation with locals and learn about the
Yeah.
new places or the places to visit, and that kind of go hiking, kayaking, visit events, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I've learned, for me, that is one of my core, um, that has to happen in my life to make me fully effective. And I think that
That's
as
awesome.
entrepreneurs, us understanding that about
Hmm.
ourselves, what is it that makes us the best that we can be, and then making sure that's incorporated into our businesses.
That's awesome. I mean, I love vacation. I just got back from Outer Banks,
Oh, what's
which
that?
it was fun, exhausting drive home, but like I was
Sure.
able to work from there. Really bad at the internet, but it worked enough for me to get stuff done.
Good.
And it was a good time to be with family and and with the kiddo and whatnot.
Right.
And what's one of the benefits I've always found is with while working as an entrepreneur, you're able to be a little bit more flexible. Like my kid's home this week, my wife's working, her full, 9 to 7 job, whatever you want to call
Sure.
it, and I'm able to say he's, doing science experiments in the kitchen. I'm able to go up there if I hear a shriek, and know that he's not blowing up the house. And that's, but I'm able to take that step away and not clock out or tell someone I have to
Right.
go someplace. I could just go and deal with it. So
Right.
it's a nice thing, and I can only imagine what it's like to have teenagers, a 20-something-year-old who I know you're very close to your kids, and that's a good thing. But you're able to venture a little bit more on your own because they're a little, well, depending on what time of the day it is,
Absolutely.
are more mature than the 8-year-old.
Absolutely. And I will say, I owned the fitness company when they were much younger. And
Yeah, it was
it
more
was,
stationary business. Yeah.
and it was definitely, I was thankful that I was able to do that and not work a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
So but I designed kids' fitness classes so I could bring my kids in, right? We
Oh,
had
that's
kids
awesome.
yoga and we had kids Zumba and we had those kinds of things. So my kids
Yeah.
could be there with me. And do that in a regular 9 to 5.
No, you can
Yeah.
do that. This has been great. This is great, Shannon. Shannon, where is the best place people can find you? Because you're all over social, but like,
I am.
where's your best spot?
So lately, I have been putting more of an emphasis on my personal social. And so that is Shannon Close McGill on Facebook, underscore McGill underscore on Instagram. But LinkedIn, my Diam, um, professional pages, right? You can certainly find me on those as well. And I'm
You're
going to
very
be ramping
prolific.
back up my professional social media as we move out of the summer. The summer, I've really taken some time off and
Oh yeah, sure.
reevaluated. And so we're moving forward, which is really exciting. But I'm also starting to ramp back up some of those things.
Awesome, Shannon. This has been so much fun.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you so much for having me.
yeah, and we'll see you on season 3 of the Digital Marketing Dive
Absolutely.
happening probably in October or November.
That sounds great.
When we can all get when our heads are down and the sunshine's not beaming down quite as much on us, making us go outside and play. So,
Absolutely. I love it, Seth. Thank you.
awesome. Thank you for being on.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business too? Caroline Kay hosts a great podcast called Snippets of Genius. Caroline, tell us what these folks will get out of listening.
Snippets of Genius is a lighthearted business podcast with some brilliant insights into how you can attract and cultivate success. In each episode, I have an inspiring conversation with genius guests from the worlds of business development, marketing, design, and wellness. Each of them share their ballsy, daring moves to burst business opportunities wide open. Every episode is designed to give you as much value as possible so you can decide, define, and develop anything you want in your career or business.
Hard to turn that down. Where can people subscribe?
They can come on over to my website, which is www.carolinekay.co/podcast, or find the show at marketingpodcast.net, or search for Snippets of Genius wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.